confession to make. When this case first hit the news, I could smell a rat. I knew something was off. I knew something was weird about this story. Think about it. Carlee Russell, a 25-year-old nursing student, claims that as she was driving along the I-459 in Alabama, she noticed a toddler walking alongside this busy highway. She stopped to check on the child and then disappeared. I knew it was strange, but then when I saw this footage showing Carlee's car pulling over on the side of this pretty busy freeway, that's when my suspicions were confirmed. How is it possible that a little baby, a toddler, is walking along the side of a very busy freeway at night by himself and no one else is stopping? I've seen traffic come to a halt on the 405 freeway here in Los Angeles, one of the busiest freeways in the world, because there was a poodle running along the side of the road. And people were stopping their cars. They were getting out of their cars, trying to get to the poor doggy. And you're telling me that there was a baby walking on the side of a dangerous freeway at night all by himself, and Carlee was the only one who noticed? So at first I thought, was she on drugs? Whether she took them or somebody slipped onto her. Was she hallucinating? Was this the onset of mental illness that suddenly came on her? Because there's no way that no one else called, no one else stopped. Then she shows up, kind of hysterical and wounded, back home, in such a state that she had to be taken to a hospital. But now the truth has come out. Police have revealed her Google search history that shows that this is something that she had been planning. There were also texts and tweets indicating that she was having problems in her relationship. All of these put together showed that she was a troubled young woman who was having a really hard time in her relationship. She decided to stage her own disappearance, probably because she wanted the attention that it would bring. It would probably endear her boyfriend more to her. If he feels that he almost lost her to a kidnapper, that maybe he would choose her over the women he was cheating on her with. It's all a bust. She's been found out. But in the days leading up to her finally coming home while she was still missing, there was all this talk online that she had been taken, that she was probably being sold, that she was most likely kidnapped by ex-traffickers. And I'm going to talk a little bit more on the whole trafficking hysteria that has taken over social media for the last few years. I'll talk about that later. But there was all this speculation and all this worry, and there was this commentary that I saw among a lot of Black people on Twitter that it is good to see that finally a Black woman that's missing gets as much attention as all the non-Black women who, when they disappeared, the world stopped spinning and everybody is interested in their return home, and the police is out in full force trying to find them and trying to reunite them with their families. So for this case, finally this case where a Black woman's disappearance has been taken so seriously, for this to be a case of her faking her disappearance, you know, it's extremely annoying and very, very disappointing. But here's the point I'm making in this video. Yes, Carlee Russell lied. She faked her own kidnapping. And is this the first time this has happened? Remember her? And her? How about her? Now, let me take it way back. Remember her? I remember this case. I've never stopped thinking about this case in particular. But do you remember this?
I would like to say to whoever has my children that they please bring them home to us where they belong.
There have been a few white women who have faked their own disappearance or the disappearance of a loved one, but nothing has changed about how interested the public is in finding them and how many resources the police invest into finding these women. White women have been crying wolf over and over and over again, but that hasn't stopped police from looking for them over and over and over again. As they should, as they absolutely should. So yeah, Carlee lied. She needs to pay for what she did. She needs to pay for all the hours and the resources of police that were diverted from spending time and money and effort looking for real victims. And maybe she needs to do some time. But I don't want anybody to think that because this woman lied about being kidnapped, that somehow absolves the police from ever wanting to look for another disappeared Black woman. There will always be those people who want attention, who are trying to get away from a relationship that they're not happy with, who are trying to just be the belle of the ball and have everybody think about them and look for them and have their photos posted everywhere. We will always have those women, but we must never stop looking for real victims of kidnappings. We must never think that the value of Black women has been diminished because of the actions of this one Black woman, or two, or three. We don't know how many more fakers there will be in the future. If white women can still be searched for, even though there are some who have lied about disappearing, Black women deserve the same treatment. So to the police officers who invested many hours and time and effort looking for Carlee, I feel terrible that you wasted your time, but I also want to thank you for what you did. Thank you for doing your job. Please keep it up. Appreciate it. Now, in terms of the hysteria that has taken over this conversation about trafficking of women and girls, let's be very clear about something. Trafficking has been going on since there have been human beings on this earth. So in no way I want to suggest that I don't believe that this type of trafficking doesn't exist. It has always existed. What has happened in the last few years is that there's been some kind of a hysteria that has been going on, that every time somebody disappears, we assume that it is for the purpose of trafficking them. And a lot of this hysteria is politically motivated, like most hysteria and conspiracy theories that have been spreading online for the last few years on both sides of the political aisle. It is important to be vigilant. It is very important to watch your surroundings because people are out there doing all kinds of things to people. But this idea that every time a woman disappears, she's being trafficked, let's be clear on a few things. Ex-traffickers' main goal is to traffic children and very young teenagers. Those are the preferred victims for this type of enterprise. They prefer children and very young girls because they are more easily broken down mentally, emotionally, physically. They're more easily manipulated. And that's another thing that I want to mention. In this kind of business, the overwhelming majority of victims are seduced into this industry. They're not grabbed off the street. They're not, people aren't going into people's homes to grab children to traffic them. These are mostly children who have been contacted. The majority of these children that are trafficked are runaways, unfortunately. They come from difficult home situations. And the men and women who engage in this kind of business, they target those particular victims because they're easy to manipulate it. These are children who are looking for a home. They're looking for a family. They're looking for a sense of belonging, that somebody cares about them. And these pimps grab them, they seduce them, and then they convince them into this business. That is the most economically viable way to do this. If you're going to grab somebody off the street, especially a grown woman, a woman who's in school, a woman who has a career, a woman who has her own car, a woman who has her own home, it's extremely unlikely that you're going to break her down mentally to the point where she's going to agree to engage in this kind of thing. So no, they don't want to grab a 25-year-old, a 35. I've heard women in their 40s talking about this man was following me and I think he wanted to traffic me. No, ma'am, you're safe. You are safe. Now, you could be the victim of a predator who wants to attack you personally, but to be trafficked, nobody is paying for activities with a 40-something-year-old woman. And it sounds like I'm insulting. I'm 49 years old. It sounds like I'm insulting women after a certain age. I'm saying to you, relax. You're not the target of these types of activities. Even women in their 20s who have a life of their own are not the kind of person that these guys are looking for, because what they want is somebody who's going to cooperate as soon as possible, who's going to cooperate, who's not going to have the wits about themselves. So even if they find themselves in this situation, they're constantly going to be looking for a way of escape, looking for a way that they can contact police or have somebody contact police on their behalf, that they can run away at any chance. That's a waste of, if you think about it, the victims of trafficking are product. You don't want a product that's volatile, that is a high probability of flight risk. You want something that is going to be shelf stable, if we're going to use the product language, somebody who's more likely to stay, to come back to their trafficker, who has nowhere else to go, who has no family, who's looking for them, who has no one who really cares about them. And it's so sad, it breaks my heart just to say this. Trafficking of children is something that we definitely all need to fight to stop. And there might be organizations out there who are doing a good job. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. We need to end trafficking by all means necessary. But this hysteria that we have, that every woman who disappears is being trafficked and people are trafficking, and if you find a zip tie at your door in your car, somebody's looking to traffic you. If you're a grown woman, you're in very little danger of being sent into the ex-trafficking business. So I want us to relax and stop thinking about the trafficking of grown women and focus on the real victims, the children who run away, who they get kicked out of their homes, who are being abused at home, who are in the foster care system. Those are some of the, most kids who are willing to run away from their homes because they don't have the real home anymore, and they're in a home with strangers who are probably abusing them. And a lot of these kids feel like they'll be better off in the street. Those are the number one victims of trafficking. So if you want to help to stop this, the best thing you can do is maybe foster a child. If you know you can provide a loving, safe environment for a child that needs a home, do that. Volunteer at shelters, go give talks at schools, telling children about the dangers of meeting people online. That's another thing that is happening more and more today in the era of the internet. Okay, the sun is moving some. I'm trying to finish this video. The internet is a huge recruiting place for these individuals who are trafficking children. They befriend children online, and then they seduce them, and they pretend to be a young child around their age. When the child identifies any problems that they're having at home, they'll say, oh, you can run away with me. You can come and live with me. I'll take care of you. I'll protect you. You'll be fine. You'll be safe. And a lot of these kids get ensnared into this industry by the seduction of strangers. So if you have children, please talk to them. Please become their friend. A lot of people say, I don't have to be your friend, I'm your parent. You need to be their friend. You need to know what's going on. You need to know who they're talking to. You need to make sure that the home environment that you're creating for them is one where they feel safe and loved, so they won't be looking for that love and validation from a stranger online who just wants to use them for financial gain. So yeah, those are the things that I wanted to say about this case. She lied. It's terrible. People are making comparisons between her and Jussie Smollett. Yeah, it's terrible. There are liars out there, but the police need to look for people when they're missing. It doesn't matter what race, what background, what ethnicity they are. And so please, thank you for doing your job. Keep doing that. We appreciate you. Thank you for watching this video. Would you like to leave a comment? Would you like to add to the conversation? I welcome that. Please, what do you think I missed? Was I wrong about something? Leave your comments. Do you think that the trafficking business does include grown women, that grown women are being pulled out of their cars and they're being kidnapped into this industry? Do you know of any examples, any real life examples? Let me know. Let's have this conversation below. Please subscribe to my channel if you would like to hear me talk about more topics of what's going on in the media. So please subscribe to this channel. Please share this video with others if you think it's interesting. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. And hopefully I will see you in the next video. Bye.